Good morning. This is Rob with Travels with Dottie, and I have some really great content for you today. I am presently north of Deming, New Mexico, in City of Rock State Park, and I'm at the Deborah Dickinson Cocoa Fest, her 7th annual YouTube gathering. Deborah Dickinson is easy to find on YouTube, and she co-hosts this event with Frugal Rv Gal. And today, what we have is a lesson or a presentation that Frugal Rv Gal has done on cast iron cooking and cast iron cooking utensils. And let me tell you something about the word frugal. It does not mean cheap, it means intentional. Frugal Rv Gal is a remarkable chef, cook, and she cooks with quality ingredients, but she's very intentional about what she uses, where she gets them, and she's very economical yet great ingredients. This presentation isn't a cooking lesson, but if you want to understand how to cook with cast iron, go to her channel, Frugal Rv Gal, and there is a plethora of step-by-step lessons on how to use cast iron, and not just cast iron. There's a lot of Frugal RV cooking available on her channel. So without further ado, here she is, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did.
Let me see, 2 Lollapaloozas.
Yeah.
2 of these, so that's 4.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of something different. So some of this is going to briefly talk about some of the tools
Your steaks
that
are
I
coming
use.
on loose on the front. One of them's already loose and the other one's trying to.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we don't want to handle one.
Curtis is taking care of it.
We're going to talk about some of the tools that I use, and you can, just like any hobby, you can collect all kinds of cookware and things for cast iron.
She complains about my books.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, why can't you make jewelry? So we carry around jewelry. And she's like, why can you collect? What was it you said? Like something.
Something that doesn't,
Tired.
Yeah, well.
something that doesn't weigh 2,000
Yeah.
The
pounds.
next time with the jewelry, you say it's all the stuff to make the jewelry that weighs all the weight.
Yeah.
All the beads, all the, yeah.
And this
So-
is my first Cocoa Fest. So I'm gonna.
So, yeah, she does a good, she can really cook some good food.
Well, I'm excited about seeing all the dishes on the challenge, because that's always fun. And if you've never cooked with cast iron, don't let it intimidate you, because it's not really hard. It's not a lot of different. And I'm going to talk about some of the myths and some of the things around cooking in cast iron, and some do's and don'ts. And I have an example of do and don't. So I do cast iron in a skillet. I don't have any other skillets. This is all I use. And I also cook in a Dutch oven. And if you watch my channel, you can go. I have a playlist of cast iron Wednesdays, and I also have Dutch oven loving. And so I do both, and I try to cook all different kinds of things to give people examples of things that you can cook, especially in a Dutch oven, because people are like, you can cook in that? And yes, you can. So I've been gifted a lot of cast iron, and I'm still gifted cast iron. And one of my prized possessions, Cheryl gave me this last year, and this is a Wagner ware, very, 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 very old cast iron. And I just cooked lunch in it, so it's very hot right now. But I cleaned it, got it back to the good way you should store your cast iron. Yeah, it's seasoned. It's seasoned very well, but you also season it after each cook. So you want to keep that shine. This is a Lodge, and I've had a hard time identifying this one. I've looked on eBay, and all your cast iron will have some sort of identifying mark on the back or on the handle. Like this one has a 5 right here, and this one definitely has the Wagner ware. Some Wagner wares have a pie shape. That just tells you the different manufacturers and dates of cast iron, or that model. So I'm just now, since I've been collecting it for so long now, I'm getting into identifying them and looking for them myself when I go. So, flea markets, yeah.
Or broad sale.
So this one, it only has one split in the ring. They'll call this a ring. And the only other identifying mark on is a big 8 right here. And I've been looking on eBay and finally found this one, and this is supposedly a 1931 cast iron. Another big difference about this one is it's hammered on the side, so which is very rare. So this one's another one of mine.
So the 8 is diamond?
No.
Bigger than a diamond?
It's their mark, it's their model.
Okay.
Some of them may be, but some of them it may be like the model 8. I think this is a 12 inch. So
You said it has a cake on it?
it has a heat ring. This is what's called a heat ring. It has an 8,
Oh,
the number 8. And so the heat rings were used back in the day when you had wood burning stoves, you know, and you would put that down into the stove or whatever, and that's the heat ring. But this, a lot of the lodges you'll look at, it'll have 3 marks, and then you can, so if you want to start looking for cast iron and saying, ooh, is that a Wagner ware? Griswold's are real old, and then of course there's some old lodges. You can pick up a lodge at Walmart pretty cheap, you know, if you want to just experiment, you're not wasting a lot of money. If you want to get into trying to cook in cast iron or Dutch ovens. I was gifted this. This is a camp chef, and this is a bread pan. And I've yet to cook in this yet, but
Homemade bread?
homemade bread, yeah. So,
Loaf of bread.
yeah. So some of the tools I use is, this is a, your cast iron gets hot, so you can, they make all different kinds of these. This is a lid lifter for when you're cooking in your cast iron. You can check your stuff, whatever you're cooking. This is also, I use it as a lid lifter. And you can also use this as a, it's like a trivet to put your cast iron on. Like that. And then, this is a lid lifter. This is my favorite lid lifter. Because a lot of times, and I'll show you,
Wow.
a lot of times, because you want to set your lid down to stir or whatever, that way you're not setting your lid down on the ground. That's one of my favorites.
I've never seen one of those.
It's on Amazon, but you've got to get it in a group of stuff.
Why that?
I looked because I wanted just that.
This is a wind block, so if you're cooking with coals or fire, and you need to keep the wind off of it, because the more wind, it affects the heat of your coals. So that's when you're cooking, it's not a constant temperature like your oven. So sometimes you have to get creative on keeping your coals from not burning up so fast. So these are some of the tools I use. I also use this, which was part of this kit. And I just use this basically to put my coals on. Tongs, glove. So I have all different kinds of tools to do the cast iron. But if these were hot, I would place my coals in this pan, and of course I have more. And then I place that on there. And the reason why I use this is then, if I was cooking it right here, I can take that later and then dump it into a fire pit. I'm not leaving my coal ash just everywhere.
Joan
So-
showed me, because she doesn't have one of those, she uses a pizza pan. So
Yeah.
that's what we bought because we couldn't find one.
Yeah, anything you can put underneath the pizza pan, a cookie sheet,
Anything with a
yeah.
lid or, yeah.
Yeah, so you can just move your ashes wherever you need to put them in a proper place. So I heat my coals up in this. This is a chimney. This is a foldable chimney. It's seen its day.
They're actually silver.
Yeah, they are silver. Mine is very old and rusted and
And it collapses.
yes, this one collapses so I can travel with it better.
Probably the lightest thing you
Yeah.
How do you get your coals?
I heat my coals up, well, not cheap, a lot, but you can put paper under there and light it, but my little Coleman stove over there, light that and put this on top of it and it lights my coals.
We do that.
I do
It makes
that
a
too.
mess on your stove, but
It heats them up fast.
yeah, I definitely
When
use
you're
my-
hungry, it works.
I use my stuff and I'm hard on my stuff. So one of the worst things you can do to cast iron is let it get wet and stay wet. And this last weekend I was at Lollapalooza tribute, and guess what I did? I left my Dutch oven outside and
It rained a lot.
and it rained and it's rusted now. So now I've got to do a lot of work. This is a no-no because it does, and I've done it so often. This is a 10-inch Dutch oven. You can see the outside of it's rusted. And I cooked biscuits in this, and then I just put it up. I didn't clean it.
You need
So-
Billy.
Huh?
You need Billy Strong.
Yeah.
He'd clean that up fast.
Well, I'll get it cleaned up. I just threw it into the camper and got here. So, but another hard thing on cast iron is tomato sauce. So, like if you're cooking spaghetti, you can pizza. You can. I cook spaghetti in mine all the time, but the minute I finish it, I clean it out. So
And I cheat, I buy those liners.
Yeah.
The aluminum line, if I'm cooking something like spaghetti or something, I'll use those aluminum liners.
There's aluminum liners?
Uh-huh,
well, like cake pan type.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
You
That's
can-
Pie pan.
You
I've
can,
got the paper ones. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I use parchment paper, especially if I'm cooking breads or pizzas or things underneath.
I bought a bunch of them when I went to the lodge store.
Huh.
I'll bring you a couple.
Another thing is when I first started cooking, I just piled the coals on. I was learning myself, I was like, and I made some bread, and of course I burned it, so I was like, what am I doing wrong? YouTube! But a great little book. If you buy a Dutch oven, you'll get this book. It's a Lodge Dutch Oven Cookbook 101. And you can get this information online too. But you can cook anything in a Dutch oven that you would cook in your oven. So breads, biscuits, stews, anything, casseroles, anything you can cook in your oven, you can cook in a Dutch oven. Cobblers.
That's my favorite.
And the key is how many briquettes or how much wood do you put under your Dutch oven and on top of your Dutch oven. So this nice little guide right here will tell you, say the cake, I'm making a cake. I've got a cake on I made Billy Strong a cake in my Dutch oven. Perfect, came out perfect. If it says cook at 400 degrees, then this little chart right here will tell you how many briquettes to put on top and how many to put underneath. That way you won't burn the bottom of it. And another tip you want to do is you want to always, if I'm cooking on here, because of the wind and all the sizes of your charcoal, and if you're doing with firewood, you could get hot spots underneath. So you always want to, about every 10 to 15 minutes, pick up your Dutch oven, turn it, and you'll have coals on top too. And you want to turn your lid. So I guess I can show that. There's different types of Dutch ovens. And some of them, you cook with them in your house, then the lodge makes an enamel one. That's a Dutch oven. But they don't have this lip. So this lip is for cooking with charcoal. Otherwise your coals will fall off. So, the other ones are more like soup pots, and they won't have the lid. Now you can cook soup in that too, but you just hang it over the fire or put coals underneath it and cook. But what else? Any questions?
What's the difference in these versus like the cheap ones you get at Walmart?
Well, I'm not really sure where I got this one, but I don't think I paid a lot of money for this one. And I don't even know what brand it is. But you can get them, you can get the lodges at Walmart. And nowadays, when you buy them, they're already pre-seasoned, so you don't have to season them. They're a little rougher. You can notice these are a smooth, which I like the smoother.
You can sand
Sand them down, yeah.
And then season them
Yeah.
yourself,
The camping section sells some that are not the same quality as the lodge.
They're a lighter thickness.
Yeah.
And they're
It's not-
almost-
they're thinner, I guess I should
Yeah,
say.
Yeah,
Nice,
they're,
heavy.
and they're almost textured on the coating. It's weird.
Yeah, it's that, what were you saying, but you can sand that down.
yeah.
You know, they're probably seconds. The ones I bet you that Walmart gets, maybe they're seconds. You know,
No,
just
I don't think so.
How do you season?
Huh?
How do you season them?
Well, like this one, or this, if I need to re-season this one, you'll notice, sometimes you'll get a gummy, because you keep using oil and oil and oil, and sometimes it gums up. Sometimes if it rusts, and or you buy one at a flea market and it's all rusted up, you can season it. You can take it down to the middle, and the best way I have found is using vinegar. But it's kind of hard to do on the roast because you want to soak your cast iron for, could be a week, 2 weeks, depends on how much how much rust you have on it. But once you get it down to the middle, then you can put it in your oven. You know, I've done it 2 different ways because I've watched so many YouTube, but I've done it on a low temperature, and I've also done it on a very high temperature. And I've also used a self-cleaning oven. I've used that before, just trying to test different methods. But you want to put a lightly oil on there, preferably a high heat, not like olive oil.
Yeah.
So one of your higher oils, so it doesn't. That's when you kind of get the sticky when you use like an olive oil. I use a coconut oil or a
Peanut oil.
yeah. I haven't used peanut oil, but I'm trying to think of the other one. I've used.
Sesame oil, I think, has
Yeah.
a higher heat.
Yeah.
and-
I always use coconut oil. I've just found that I like it better. But and you put it face down in your oven and you let it heat up for an hour or whatever. Take it out, let it cool off. Wipe whatever oil you have on it. Then put another lightly coat of oil. Do it again. Do it 3 or 4 times, and you'll come out with a beautiful, just like this.
My dad insisted on putting salt with his oil when he was seasoning his
Salt?
pan.
Oh, that's
Salt.
interesting.
Oh no, I've never
Put
heard
salt
that.
in there.
That's deadly to cast
Salt.
iron.
You can use salt to clean. If you have really bad,
Abrasive.
yeah, it's abrasive, and so you can use salt. You know, you can use. I use scrubbers. I use soap. A lot of people were like, "Don't use soap. Put soap
That might
on
explain
your
why he
cast
was
iron."
seasoning
Just
it.
dry it right away and reseason it.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I do.
back in Lodge, if you'll watch any Lodge videos, they say, yeah, use soap and water, it's not gonna hurt it. Back in the day, your soap had lye in it. That would hurt the cast iron. But today, Dawn or whatever doesn't have the lye, so it's not gonna ever hurt your cast iron, so.
So
I went to the Lodge store in Tennessee where they make them, and they had spray bottles of special oil for seasoning. I looked at the ingredients, it's canola oil.
Yeah.
So save the extra $5-10 per bottle and
Right.
just spray canola oil on it.
Yeah.
How are you gonna de-rust your baby?
You don't wanna know. Since I'm in the RV and I'm not gonna soak it obviously in vinegar for weeks. So I do what, don't record this part, no. I've used a wheel and a drill and knocked all the rust off of it. Now I've also seen videos of don't ever do that because it takes the base coat of the seasoning. It takes it way down to it and you won't ever get a good seasoning. Now I've not ever found that because I've used a steel wheel on this probably 12 times. What do? I leave it outside. And so it's not good for them but you know, that's what I do it. And
Do you have a preference on briquettes?
well, actually, I'm using these. These are more of a wood briquettes, and I didn't bring them over here, but they're a lot. This is a instant light that I bought, and they're not very big, so they burn up. And this is a wood hardwood briquette, and they last longer. And they're bigger.
They get hotter too.
Yes, and they're made out of wood, and these burn up really fast. And so if your coals are burning up and you have ash on your lid, you want to always knock that ash off and put new briquettes on, because that ash acts as an insulator, so you're not getting the heat that you need. So I have cooked briskets in 2 different ones. That's a fun video to go watch because I have a 12-inch on the bottom and the 10-inch on top. And I'm cooking a brisket in both of them. And so, but I cooked it for 5 or 6 hours. So I'm sitting there for 5 or 6 hours rotating my briquettes. So it uses a lot of briquettes, but, so I'm testing these and I'm really liking the wood because they don't burn up so fast. So, good question.
Yeah.
Since I don't really talk about
So it makes it more frugal, even though they're more expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did a Walmart pickup and I thought I bought one of those and I bought 2 of them. And so. Anyway, any more questions?
What's the average cooking time when you're making like a breakfast item, like a cobbler or something in there?
I can do a cobbler probably in an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. And it depends on how, like I said, how big the coals are, the wind, if it's cold outside, how diligent I am in putting new coals on if I need to, and things like that. I'm just sitting there letting it cook.
When you're putting new coals on, are you talking about lit coals?
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, yeah, so I'll always have some going over here. You kind of learn, you know, these are getting bad, I need to light some more,
Right.
you know, and then, yeah, I'll just place them, like it says, maybe I didn't touch on that good enough, like 375, and I have a 10-inch Dutch oven. I put 23 briquettes, and 16 on top and 7 on the bottom. And so, and you can regulate that too if you're noticing it might be burning on the bottom, or you just kind of start testing it and you kind of start recognizing signs of, oh, it's getting too hot too fast. So,
You mentioned you can find recipes online. What do you mean? Like Google it or what?
go to Frugal Rv Gal. No. Well, like I said, I do have a whole lot of cast iron on my channel, plus Dutch oven loving under that playlist. But like you can cook anything in any cast iron or in the Dutch oven.
Those things, if you take care of them, they'll last, live longer than you, because
Well,
I have a set of cast iron skillets, and that were my grandma's, and she
Yeah.
died 60 years ago.
yeah.
My
Oh, yeah,
mom
they'll
has her
last.
grandma's cast iron.
So,
My
on
mother
the
is
store,
80.
do you have some of this stuff
Oh,
in
wow.
Amazon?
I bet you that
Yes.
stuff- they
Okay,
can have
tell
it.
us about that.
So I have an Amazon store too you can go to,
Oh.
and there's a link in all my videos. And I do have all the tools, most of the tools I think. This is a new edition, so I don't have that on there, but anything that I use, camping and,
So it was Amazon.com/Frugal Rv Gal.
there you go. Anything else?
If you're boondocking for a week, how much charcoal do you have to bring out with you?
She travels with that bag and another one.
Yeah.
How much space do you need?
Yeah, it sits in my front seat.
She does.
I keep mine in a Tractor Supply bucket
I
with a lid.
Well, mine is now in, it's a dog bucket.
Yeah.
Quit feeding Sammy dog food because I make her food, but, so I put my charcoal in that now.
There you
I
go.
just hadn't done that since Lollapalooza. This is my chuck kit. This is everything cooking. This is my chuck kit for, so I don't have to go in the camper every time I'm cooking. I've got all my spices and utensils and if I'm making cobblers, spoons.
Show them the prices, they can't see it.
My spice, well, y'all can come by. Cumin, chili powder. So anything I need, toothpicks, stirrers, y'all can come by and kind of look at that too. And
So is that like a fishing thing or?
this is a Craftsman
toolbox?
toolbox that I've just adapted as mine.
What's your favorite Dutch oven recipe to make?
Well, the most requested that I'm at during the winter, well, anywhere, I guess, when we're together with friends, is my green chili.
Chili guineas.
Well, no, chili chilies is probably second, but the green chili Relleno casserole.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say that one.
Yeah, and it's in that recipe book over there if you want. I have 4 or 5 recipes over there in that book that are all cast iron, and most of them are Dutch oven, I guess. I've got a meatloaf, not that one.
That's surprising,
You know, I screwed up when I made that cover, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
It's the same color as glass.
So, yeah, Jenna has 4 or 5 in here. Joan has several recipes in here. Who else?
And
Somebody-
Joan does Dutch oven, and what we've done in this book is we put how many coals are needed on top, how many on bottom. So if you want to cook it in a Dutch oven, there's that information too. So, but that chili Relleno casserole's in there. So. That's it.
Thank you, Jenna.
I'm glad you're here and get you some cast iron and start joining in on the cast iron chili
Yeah.
challenges.